All right, welcome everyone to episode 9, Confronting Our Thoughts. As you can see, there's just two of us again, but Luke was on spring break. We're kind of out of the loop, but he should be back with us for next episode. So that's what we're planning on. So it's just Tom and I again, but welcome, episode 9, like I said, and we're gonna hop right into it. First, Tom, how's your week? How are things going?
Yeah, it was good, man. The spring out here in Washington is slowly trying to fight its way through the clouds. And so this past weekend we had a couple good days. So took advantage of that, and it feels good. And then yeah, had off this weekend from school, so that was nice. So I just had like a ton of time to myself and really just kind of doing what I not that I don't want to do school, but like really just had a like I said, just a ton of time to to have in my own thoughts and get ready for this episode. And yeah, we have a lot of cool things to talk about, so I'm excited for that. But it feels good, man. I feel good. How was yours?
Yeah, the week last week ended on a high note because spring break, so I don't have class this week, and I am in the process of getting some things like put together for the place I'm moving into. So just putting stuff together as for like house necessities, and then moving out of my current place little by little. Since I have like the whole week, I'm kind of trying to use that to my advantage and spend some time doing that. But yeah, everything's going good. This week I'm just besides Wednesday and Thursday I do have to work, but just kind of like you said, doing what I want to do and spending my time how I want to. I don't have class to worry about, so I'm looking forward to that. But no complaints. So after well, along those lines, so let's just hop right into the first topic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah, let's do it.
So yeah, this one is it's a very broad type of idea. A lot of you guys, everyone listening, has been prompted with the question before, like, what is the meaning of life? Um, I don't think we've really talked about that specifically yet. I know we talk a lot along the same ideas and same topics, and we might talk in circles a little bit, but it's all relevant. But as for like this specifically, uh, the meaning of life, and what we're kind of going to touch on is the difference between maybe destiny and fate, and just like a lot of the words that come with like meaning of life when you hear about it. So we're just gonna jump right into that. So Tom, just I guess the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear like the meaning of life, like what comes to you about that?
Yeah, well, this kind of changed not substantially recently, but it definitely sparked some new ideas when I was thinking about this due to me reading the book called The Alchemist. So literally that's what the book is about, the big theme. And I'm not, no like spoilers, it tells you this like right off the jump, but the story is just about a boy trying to find this treasure. Um, and so he goes through like this journey, basically his journey throughout life, meets a bunch of people, has a bunch of trials and tribulations, and then he gets to what he thinks the treasure should be at. And then with everything happening, he gets there, and then he realizes that the treasure, this physical materialistic thing, was actually back to where he started. Right, he's back to his hometown where he left to go find this treasure. So, and you can take a couple, there's a ton of themes to take from this book, but the one big message that ties right into this is that life isn't necessarily about finding the treasure. Life is about so sorry, life to me isn't about the treasure itself. Life is about trying to find the treasure. And because during that journey to the treasure, and it's simple, like life's about the journey, not the destination, right? That's like a very, very simplest way to put it. And there's way more to this book. I highly recommend this book. It's like 200 pages. It'll take you like 4 hours. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. So that's important to it's important to understand, because we always talk about trying to find this balance, I think, a lot of times in this podcast, between being determined and motivated to something you want to do and a person you want to become in life, while also having this practice of enjoying where you're at. And I think that's the absolute foundation of what this book is telling you, is that enjoy the trials and tribulations, enjoy the failures, enjoy the people you meet, enjoy the bad things, the good things, all throughout, while still having this vision and still having these goals and these aspirations in life. And so, yeah, long-winded answer, but
Yeah, so more so it's about the pursuit of something, not like the journey, like the pursuit of something. It's not necessarily getting to a certain destination. It's just about enjoying what you come across, the good, the bad, when you're on the way to something. So it's like, I mean, I had someone tell me that we use the word inspired a lot when we talk or like do something when you're inspired, but it's like when you're inspired to do something and it's like you're on that journey to try to get to the where the end goal is for whatever your end destination is, and while you're on that journey is to just kind of take it all in and enjoy that because you won't be at that spot, like you won't be there again. So it's kind of, like you said, it's enjoying the people you come across, the relationships you have, and all like the little things. I think that is a big thing that comes across for me. I read that book I think years ago. I don't really remember it, but it is a short book. And I think after you read a book like that, it does like shift your perspective. And I find myself when I do read books that shift my perspective, it'll like be in my mind for a few weeks, maybe a couple months, and then it kind of just like floats away. So like
Mhm.
you like talking about that, it's like a little refresher. Because sometimes it's hard to be disciplined and you know enjoy the small stuff and take it day by day and live in the present. And we are by no means perfect, and I think for the meaning of life, everyone might have their own definition of their meaning or life, their meaning of life or their purpose. So along those lines, do you think this? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you think like we have a destiny or like a fate type of thing, or if you want to
Mhm.
distinguish between those two, or just what you think about the word destiny when it comes to life?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a not black and white topic or conversation, and to me, like saying like destiny versus fate, like that's a very black and white way to put it. So I like it's hard
Yeah,
for me to, it's kind of hard for me to connect those. Um, but I think that I like, maybe this will kind of answer it without answering it like too black and white. I think the more you're in a positive state of mind, the more you're trying to take care of yourself, the more you're genuinely doing what you think is the betterment for you and therefore the betterment of the people around you, in all aspects of your life. The more you do that, the more you're going to truly realize and see that life will be now working for you. And it's not that, and so that therefore could be, a sense of like destiny, like I'm destined for something great because I'm looking at life that it's working for me. You said this, literally we had a conversation yesterday. You kind of stop yourself by saying, oh, I have to go do something. You stop yourself, you're like, wait, I get to go do something. I know that's a very little minute thing, but just that little shift in perspective, it can really just change the way you look at every little thing in your life and every big thing in your life that's working towards you. I'm sorry, that's working for you. And like this team, and this community, literally community with the people you surround yourself with, your family and friends, and also these habits you're forming, that community that is surrounding you will work for you. And together you'll go through life and truly understand that life is working for you. And I didn't
yeah.
answer your question at all.
No,
But
I,
that's just what came to my mind. Dude, all right. I
I
don't
don't think
know.
I don't think there is a cut and dry answer because everyone will tell you something different. I think it's very subjective. It's opinionated, but
Yeah, yeah.
when like I wouldn't say I believe in like destiny, but I do think about like everything happens for a reason. But I
Yes.
don't I don't correlate that with destiny. But you have those people when something happens, like maybe it's good and they're just like it's just a part of your destiny, or like it's just one of those sayings I think that people just throw out there. But actually diving into it, I'm a firm believer in choice, and I think like choice triumphs destiny, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So we have the
Hmm.
power, we have the power in our own life to go wherever we want to go and do what we want to do. And it comes down to a personal choice. So we have the choice to hold grudges or, have that conversation that we've been waiting to have with that family member, that friend. And it all comes down to a choice. So I think we kind of make our own destiny. I don't think it's like I guess what I was getting at for my question, if you think there's like if our life is already laid out and we're kind of like fulfilling it as we go on, like it's already predetermined, like you have a destiny that you're going to fulfill. Like I guess my answer would be I think we make our own destiny with the choices we make.
I agree.
So I'm just getting at I don't think we have like a clear cut like destiny or fate that we're living. I think it just all comes down to our choices and that yeah.
Because we don't know truly the limits. We don't truly know the limits of people for the worse or for the better, right? Like, and we can, make this practical to our lives. It's like you don't really know the true limit of yourself if you do everything you can day in and day out to be the best person you can be for 365 days a year for, 85, 90 years of your life, like truly consistent growth. Like no one knows the limit to that, and that's special. We also, we also don't know limit to the downfall of like the negative, the domino effect of negative mindset, negative habits, just a negative attitude. With that also, that limit is very scary as well. And we don't know that limit either within ourselves. There's people all the time that's like, man, I would have never thought I'd be this low right now. Like I didn't think some days that it could be hard to get out of bed. I never knew I could be in that state of mind, that dark state of mind. Like we didn't know there was that limit. We also know people that it's like, man, with all the cards stacked against this person, socially, economically, genetic, name all of them, right? Like all the cards are truly stacked against this person. And with all that being said, they triumphed and they've just become someone that they're truly proud of, and that they and then when they wake up every day, like, they're happy with who they are. Like we don't know the limits to that person either. Like I hate to go right back off what you were saying. Like destiny puts too much of a saying that life is just, our life is destined, is that it puts too much of a ceiling on human beings, right? Human beings are capable of the most amazing things and the most horrific things at the same time. Like
Yeah.
and so I think I think that gives people kind of like an excuse to not do things that they don't want to do in that moment, or to not take risk in life. I think just saying like, well, it's all planned out for me anyway. And I'm not saying that you think that you were kind of trying to get to that with asking this question, but I think if people were to have that mindset, that's dangerous, and that's just not helpful to have truly that mindset towards anything, because life's going to really knock you down. So if you would just chalk it up to being destiny every single damn time that something happens to you, then you're going to have you're not going to see much growth.
I agree with that. I have trouble with the everything happens for a reason portion as well, because it is an answer that you can fall back on and depend on, but at the same time, for the bad things that happen, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you know what I mean? It feels like there should be a different, like we want to have an answer for every little thing, but sometimes we just don't know. So everything happens for a reason. And I mean, you can hang your hat on that, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel that that is the answer that you might be like looking for. That's not going to give you peace. I don't think something horrific might happen. It's hard to have that perspective. And I think something that came to my mind, I don't know the saying specifically, but when you talk about limits, um, isn't it that I don't know if this is like backed up by science. Someone always, I think it's one of our coaches in high school, I don't remember. That your mind gives up before your body. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like your mind will give up. Like say you're done, but your body like won't be ready to like at all. Your body could just keep going and keep going and keep going.
Yeah, David Goggins. I don't know if it might be for the past, but I know David Goggins says this. He's like, I'm going to butcher the exact percentage, but on the lines of like, when your mind is like, all right, fuck this, we're done. You're only at like your physical capability. You're at like 50% or something like that. He calls it like the 50% rule. Now he's an extreme, obviously he's an outlier to these things, but that's a point though. And I think that's important, because this isn't only in the realm of like exercise and physical activity. This is just like daily task we need to do. And like I think we all like, definitely both in our lives, like going to school, we have those where it's like, man, you're just like, you're kind of just stuck, right? With like, if you're trying to definitely like write a paper or something, they call like writer's blocks, all these things that your mind's telling you like, hey, fuck this, let's just do this another time. But like you have to fight through that urge. That's on all lines of life. That's through work, your health, everything. There's like Joe Rogan said, he's like, dude, if I only worked out when I felt like working out, I'd be the laziest, fattest piece of shit on earth. You know what I mean? And like everyone who has a true like consistent exercise routine will say the same thing, right? It's not like you don't wake up every day like having the chills or ready to go work out. Some days are harder than others. For the most part, you just know this is something you have to do because in the long run, it's going to pay off. I don't even know where we were getting at with that, but yeah.
When you're not, if you're doing things when you don't want to necessarily do them, that is a part of like the journey as well. And doing things when you don't want to do them is where the growth comes in. It's like they always hear people talk about like the hardships, and you need to go through things to come out to the other side. And you have to experience the lowest of the lows to experience the highest of the highs. You can't have one without the other. So I think having that mindset and keeping that perspective in mind that the tough times don't last forever, but also neither do the very good times. But that's just how life is. It's like a teeter saw or whatever you call those things. Just goes
Yeah.
like up and down. Um, when we talk about, enjoying the journey, it's some days when you don't feel like doing shit, but you still do. Even if you do a little bit of something, you don't feel like it. It's just that's a part of conditioning your body and your brain to, when things get tough, you're not just gonna give up and you're not just gonna, fuck this. Like I'll just go watch Netflix or something like that. And we all have our bad days. We all have times where we don't want to, get after it per se. But all in all, I think going through this life is a challenge. And if you can get just a little bit better than you were the day before, then I think you're on the right track. You're making progress.
And I think it's in what makes it all worthwhile. You're absolutely right. I think what makes it kind of all worthwhile is having a true, we just said that, like having a true vision for what you want your life to look like in the future. So, and because when you have that, right, when you like wake up and there's days where you don't really feel like doing anything, you gotta stick to your reason why, right? I tell people it's like usually in the realm of like health and fitness and working out. I'm like, you have to have a strong reason why you want to start this journey. And usually it's like, I want to feel better. I want to lose weight, all those things. I was like, whatever it is, you need to have a strong reason why, because this kind of this motivation is going to wean off, right? We talk about the difference between
Mm-hmm.
motivation and discipline, because motivation is like this, you know what I mean? But discipline is this. It's not the funnest, but it's definitely not the lowest. It's just this, right? It's like consistent habits. I got to do this. So anyway, so yeah, going back to like, yeah, when we have those hard days, and we won't talk necessarily about failures just yet, or and we're going to get in that to a little bit later, but just truly like the grind of life, like life in the trenches on a Tuesday or Wednesday when, it's January, it's cold, it's whatever it may be, right? Where it's like kind of dark, you got to dig a little bit deeper into yourself. You got to really go back to why you're doing whatever you're doing, right? Why are you doing the 5, 6 things, 7 things on your to-do list that you have? Why are you doing any of those, right? And it's good
Yeah.
to ask those questions. It's absolutely essential to ask those questions, because just like you talked about how it's nice to hear like a refreshing, like, oh, I read that book a long time ago. When you dig deeper, you're going to ask yourself these important questions. It's like a recycling process of like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. This is why I need to go to the gym at 5 in the morning before work, right? Oh, this is why I need to make sure that or whatever, that I try my best there. I got to, submit this assignment on time because I have a goal. I have a vision for what my life to look like in the future. And those days are never going to end. Like those days are never going to get easier. But as long as you have a consistent vision for what you want life to look at, it's going to make it all worthwhile day in and day out.
Yeah, on those days related to health, like exercising, on those days that I don't feel like going to the gym, And after I do go to the gym, those are like my best
The
workouts.
best
It
days.
seems
Yeah.
like then after I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad I came and did the damn thing. We always preach that, like, just do the damn thing.
Yep.
Because if you just think about it, you're just probably putting it off, and you probably just won't do it. But that goes the same with anything else you do, school, your job, and things like that. If you don't want to do it, really think about why are you even there in the first place. Sure, it's if you're at a job, like, it's to make money, but at the same time, you might have a like other thing, like you have a family to support. You want to make someone proud, or maybe make yourself proud. Everyone has their own reasons, but I think it's worth it to ask yourself those tough questions sometimes when you're having trouble finding the motivation or the finding your why to why you're doing something.
Yeah, and it's important to ask those tough questions. It's also important to answer them, because sometimes you won't like the answer, and we can kind of translate this into like when it comes to your career, things like that. Um, and man, it's sometimes be scary when you ask yourself like, wait, why the hell am I doing what I'm doing right now? And when you ask those when you ask yourself those questions, it can be, like I said, it can just be very scary. So it's important, like while we're young, we're talking about these things. It's important to understand that you can easily get caught up in a trap. You can easily get caught up in this trap of life where you're working this 9 to 5, and you have like truly nothing to really live for. Um, or not that you don't have, but you don't feel like you're living for something because you spent the majority of your life doing these things and going through this journey based off of other people's opinions of what they think your life should look like. So therefore, that's what you think your life should look like, and it's a scary, scary thought, but it's so real, and it's important. I guess the majority of our listeners, all 20 of them, are probably our age, around this, or around or in this chapter where you have this freedom. And what I mean by freedom, you have a little less responsibilities as someone in their 40s or 50s with a family. And so therefore, let's focus on this chapter, focus on these people. It's like, man, I promise, whatever's kind of calling your name, right? Whatever you feel kind of inspired by or attracted towards, do everything and you can, like your life depends on it, because it does, to find a way to make that something where you can make a living based off of. And right now that might mean just like, just starting it as a hobby on the side when you get done with work or when you get done with school, and just slowly building up those layers and layers. But man, I just want to hit home, like, we've seen it. We grew up in an area where there was a lot of people like that, a very small town USA, where they were, we saw a lot of adults just like in a very, very unfulfilling part of their life. And I'm not trying to say that we're like going to be better than them or worse than them, but I'm telling you, if we asked them if they would do something differently when they were in their 20s, if you would maybe have done a different route, so you weren't in this situation you are now when you're kind of stuck. I would promise the vast majority of them would say, hell yeah, I would have done something different. I would have not listened to my parents. And what I mean to that, it's like, not have them literally tell me what they want me to do instead of me just doing what I want to do. And I wish I would have maybe moved away and, saw the world a little bit, because I think I would have been inspired a little differently by different landscapes of this earth. And that, there's an idea that when you kind of travel, there's you're kind of rewiring some things in your brain to where it might spark some ideas and some inspirations and things like that. And so anyway, let me kind of tailor back to what we're talking about. It's like, take responsibility for what you're doing. And what that looks like is, you have a duty on this earth to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward every single day. And that's going to look differently for a lot of people right now. Zach and I, we, for the most part, have a pretty productive routine. We, when it comes to our health and fitness and like kind of these chapters left. Doesn't mean to have this thing figured out, but we've developed a pretty good habit in a certain aspect of our life, and that's because of other people. And we'll both be the first one to say that's because we were inspired, and other people kind of guided us in the right way. But what I'm trying to say is, right now, that might just look like you just taking one small step today, or just putting that small puzzle piece into a pretty complicated puzzle. But that's okay, because at least you're taking that one step, and at least you're putting that one puzzle piece in, or even just trying to put the damn puzzle piece in, right? At least you're saying that, you know what, I'm not who I was yesterday, right? Like, I am who I am today. I'm not the mistakes. I'm not the fuck ups. I'm also not the successes and the highs that I was in the past. Like, I am who I am today. And I want to make a change for the person I am today. So 10 years down the road, I can look back and say, thank God that day I stopped doing whatever the hell I know I should not be doing. There's so many people that go through like these weeks and months of their lives, and they're like doing these things that they know they need to stop doing, or they're not doing things that they know they should be doing, right? We all have those like conscious thoughts, and we've all fallen to them, right? Where it's like, man, I was telling myself I shouldn't do it, and I still did it. Or I was telling myself I should do it, and I didn't do it. But the point is that you take that first day and that first step to actually listen to those and actually do something for yourself. And man, when you, like we talked about, you don't know the limits to that. You don't know the limits to really taking one step and a step after step, and just creating like a real like empire of a human being. That sounds kind of crazy, but like you can build that. There's people in this, like, we've seen that happen, decades and decades of trying their best at everything, and trying to be the best person, and loving other people, and being nice, and going after things that they want to go after, not giving a fuck about what anyone else says about them, right? And like truly going after something that they're inspired towards. And man, but it all started, you can ask them, it all started with that one step when they were however old, that doesn't matter. Yeah, so let's just take the step, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about taking responsibility for your life, because when you think about it, we referenced earlier how it comes down to choices, and no one else is going to make the choice for you. You may be able to ask other people, but you're the one who has to deal with the consequences or deal with the benefits. It's your life, and you're the one who is has all the say in what you do. So if you take that step and take that risk or that chance, who knows what could happen? It might be great or it might be awful, but you still took that chance. And if it doesn't work out, then you grow and you learn how to do something differently in the future. Or if it does work out, then well, maybe when I do something else, I'm going to take another risk, or I'm going to take another chance. So I think what it all comes down to is, we've seen it generation by generation. There's a few standout individuals who, you know, whatever lingo you want to use, like defy the odds, or they're just like superhumans. Like, if there's a few like in today, I mean, like Elon Musk. I mean, you like him or hate him, but it's just like people like that. There's a few others. It's just like they really stand out for a reason. It's because they have interest and they chase it. And we don't know their backstory or what happened, but like you said, they probably came it probably came down to a point in time where they were on the fence about making a certain decision, and then they just, bet on themselves, and they said, I don't care what my friends and family say. I don't care if this might hurt me in the short term, because I'm betting on my long-term success. I'm betting on myself. And I think that's something that comes along with this life, is just betting on yourself, because like we said about the limits, we have so much capability and potential within ourselves, but we just have to tap into that. And it's not easy to dig deep down and find those passions and those deep desires that you might have, or interests and things like that. But taking that step and just, you know, one little one little step at a time, just small steps could win the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that like, and I don't even want to get like too caught up on, obviously we're naming some outliers of people who have like advanced through their career, but we can even take a kind of a step in a different direction. Just being someone that someone wants to be around. Like that's the most important
Mhm.
thing in life. You know what I mean? It's like being the father you want to become. Like I think we both can relate. Like I don't really give a shit if I care about more about like the people I'm surrounding myself with and the love I have and love that I feel from the people that I truly care about and they truly care about me and my family and like my future family. Like those are what mean the most. And like so in this realm, like that still absolutely, correlates to this, because when you're someone who, is betting on themselves and taking care of themselves and just building these foundations, taking these steps, the people that your family, your wife, your husband, whatever, your future, like they're gonna benefit from that, right? Like it's not about like this. I don't want people to get caught up in this narcissistic view of life that like fuck everyone else, I'm just doing what I want to do. It's like, take that for what it's worth. You follow yourself and follow your passions, but treat other people like you want to be treated. Like that's obviously the golden rule, but like really though, like still take time to listen to your friends and call your good close friends and making sure you're staying close with your family. And if you do have a relationship, that you're the best fucking boyfriend, girlfriend that you're trying to be. You know what I mean? Like that's also an aspect of like digging deep and being disciplined. And like that's why a lot of people get caught up in just this like career route of life or this career aspect of your life. And that's just a part of it. That's just a part of your life. But the problem is that nowadays people just let their career kind of go by the wayside until they get stuck in this trap. So therefore, their family, their health, their friends, they're all feeling the negativity energy from that aspect of their life. Does that make sense? So that's why that's why I think it's so important to where you're young and you have, you can kind of chase this career and inspiration in the world, like I said, in this like career realm while you're doing that now. So then when you are 30, 40 and your family needs you, that you kind of took those chances when you were in your 20s or 30s, whatever it may be, to kind of put yourself in a situation where you're doing something that you're inspired and you're fulfilled by. Right. So it's just that much easier to be the best, husband, father, brother, son, whatever you can be down the road. Does that make sense? It's like, I don't want people to be like, oh, let me just not care about anything right now in my 20s, but like just working my absolute ass off for something. It's like, no, there's also, you're doing, just make sure you're having a balance. That's what we're kind of trying to say. But
Yeah,
take
there's
risk,
other
like take
things.
risk. That's yeah.
There's other things that you need to take care of as well, not just worrying about yourself. And I think the part where the awareness comes in and asking yourself those tough questions and trying to have an answer for them, that's where that comes in. Because you can't just say like fuck everyone else and I'm just gonna do it all by myself, because you
You
can't
won't be
do it.
happy, and you won't be happy doing that either.
Yeah,
Like,
won't
yeah,
be you won't be happy, and you most likely won't succeed. You can't do
yeah,
life alone.
yeah. No, fuck no.
And when you bring up the golden rule, I don't know if you heard about, there's this decade long study. I think it's out of Harvard. It's the Happiness Project. I think it's what it's called. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
I
Who has anyone
I
referenced it? Like
no,
the
I
guys that we
just
listen
think
to?
I don't think so. I came across it the other day. I'm
Oh, okay.
surprised I haven't heard about it before. Like I've heard references to it, but I actually read a little bit of it. And it's like a decade, maybe from the 70s. I want to say, I'm probably butchering that, but it's been decade long, over 2 decades, I think. And the number one predictor of happiness is, can you take a guess at what it is?
What? So, could you give me like
Just like the
five multiple choice? I would say just relationships, like social relationships.
it's relationships. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the number
yeah.
one predictor of happiness in people's lives is their relationships. So I think that's a big thing to keep in mind when, I mean, yeah, we're preaching individuality and, having your autonomy and taking advantage of that, but at the same time, like don't forget about the people you came up with, people that you're close with, and your family members, because they want to hear from you. You can't do this all by yourself. And I think keeping your relationships intact, you don't have to be, super buddy buddy with your parents if you're not that close, but just like checking in and doing like staying in the loop. is how I wanna frame that. Just keep in the loop with people and don't just go ghost for months and months, and then people just wonder what's going on, and then then you're on people's bad side. And we want to, when we're around people, we want them to feel good, and we want them to you know remember how we made them feel, and remember how that aura we have about ourselves, and we want to carry that along with us through this life so we can impact others and maybe inspire other people at the same time.
Yeah, I think we can tie. Yeah, absolutely. We could tie all that into like the main points. Like that's another reason why to take care of yourself and to go after these things. And it's because therefore you're going to be a better person. You're going to be a better spirit for the other people and your relationships in life. Does that make like I think, yeah, I think this actually, yeah, would just tie in, like just plays right into why you want to make sure you're going after something that you desire and that you're inspired by, because the people who your relationships, people who you love and care about, they're going to feel that. They're going to feel that if in a negative way, if you like, or just falling into this trap of doing what other people think you should be doing, or they're definitely going to feel a positive way to where they're actually going to attract towards you even closer and more, right? Like, because they're going to be able to feel that energy and feel that inspiration, like kind of vibing off of you because you're doing something that you're chasing after a vision that if that's your vision, that's no one else's. And man, so that just, yeah, kind of come full circle on that with the whole relationship aspect, because that's like the big thing, right? It's like, well, if I want to like, do this thing, but I also, still want to make sure I'm going out with friends on a Friday night, or, like going up for a walk on Saturday. But like, if I'm going after this vision, this goal, should I just literally be putting my head down and grinding the whole way? And it's like no, because then that's not truly something you should be going after then, if that's what it takes. Does that make sense? Like if for a decade you're sacrificing all of your relationships and all the people in your life and your loved ones and all these things to get what you think is this end goal, this treasure, then, I have a strong feeling that you're going to realize that that's probably not something that's going to be worthwhile, because like we talked about, nothing's worthwhile if you can't share it with people you love and care about. And that's
Yeah,
sharing the journey as well. Like share your journey with the people you love and care about, right? It's like going through the trenches with your, like, with a girlfriend or boyfriend. You guys are trying to figure things out in school, and your first job, or doing something like, doing something you don't like, trying to figure things out together. That's like very satisfying, because you're sharing this with someone, especially when you both, man, nothing's like sexier when you both have like the same vision and stuff for what you want your life to look like in the future, in all aspects, right? Career, family, relationships, everything, man. That's a special connection and special vibe. That is like fucking what life's about, man. Like,
yeah, yeah. There was someone on this one podcast um, talking about relationships, and he said before he even got into a relationship with this girl, he sat her down and they talked about their values. And um, before it was even romantic or intimate, like any of that, like they just sat down. He basically told her that like you're not gonna be my number one or my number two priority, but like it's like there's context. Like number one is his health, like
mm-hmm.
my like exercise, wellness, and just like taking care of my body and my mind, all that. And then I think number two was maybe um like his inspire like what he's inspired by, like maybe career or just like interests and things like that. And then like number three would be like the relationship. But like in the context, it's like if you would understand that if you give me one and two, then that makes me a better person, then you're gonna feel like you're the number one. So if I'm getting my body and everything taken care of, and I'm able to chase like what I'm interested in and inspired by, you're gonna feel like you're the number one because I'm feeling good. And I mean, I
Yeah.
was at first like I was like, I don't know where you're going with this, because he was like, yeah, like no girl's gonna want to hear like they're not gonna be the number one priority or even number two, but it was all about the context, and I honestly agree with that. Um, because when you feel good, that like you were getting at, it impacts the people that are around you. So if you're going through like a 9 to 5 that you absolutely like hate, and you're all mopey and your attitude sucks, that's gonna rub off on the people that you come across. But at the same time, if you're
Dude, yeah.
loving what you're doing and you're inspired, then the people that you come across are gonna be like, wow, that guy fucks. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna be like, that dude is
He's got
awesome.
the
But
sauce, man. Like you could feel his energy. You could feel
yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah.
And like this
And I
isn't
think
like
that's
all
yeah.
sorry, no, go on. Yeah, no, it's
No,
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know where you're going with that either. I was like, well, I don't know how I feel, but that's I think kind of like I know we mentioned this in another one, but like Matthew McConaughey says, like I got to take care of me so I can then therefore be for the I'm sorry, therefore I could be the best person for the other people surrounding me. And I think that's kind of a very simple way to put
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that if you're looking for a significant other or whatever it may be, that if they don't, man, if they're looking for someone else to fulfill, to fill their cup in life because it's not filled by themselves, then that's never going to work out. Let me maybe
Yeah, they're
rephrase that.
already starting in the
Behind the,
wrong
yeah,
spot. Yeah,
exactly,
right.
because that's never gonna, no one can truly fulfill another person like consistently for the rest of their life, because then that other person's then gonna deteriorate, and then it's just gonna, obviously then hell's gonna happen. And that's, we've seen, we've obviously seen the downsides of all of that. So yeah, I think that's super important. Just a great point. It's like, man, yeah, I don't know, there's nothing else to say for that. It's a great point, especially because a lot of people probably in our, chapters are, looking. I mean, I don't know. I think, we should maybe always be looking for a significant other. Like, I think that's because, sharing this life with someone that you love and care about is like the most fulfilling way to share a life, no matter what chapter you're in. Like, I used to have this, a couple years ago, I was like, man, I'm like, I don't like want a girlfriend. I'm like just too busy for a girlfriend. Not like too busy. I'm just like too focused on myself. Right. And then, I was in a relationship with someone and I was like, holy shit, like this is so much more satisfying and fulfilling. And it's not that my life, it's not that what I was doing was changing. I was just now able to share my life with someone that wanted to know about my life. And I was like, I was able to take care for someone and be there for someone, and vice versa, right? She was able to do the same thing for me while still like doing the things that she loved and cared about. And while I was doing the things that I loved and care about, like that's a special connection. Not only what's a special connection, that's the connection that you should want, or that you have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that that's the standard, right? That's not like, man, that would be nice to have. It's like, no, that's what your standard should be in relationships with intimate people, and friendships and stuff. Like, you should be around people who are taking care of themselves and going after it, because man, like we talked about, you can feel that negative attraction, or lack of attraction when it does happen.
Yeah, for sure. What do you, in regards to if you're inspired by something and chasing something, this is a very broad question, but well, I don't want to say for some, like for some people that might not be enough. They might need like they might be looking for some more things to fill their cup or more things to steer them in a certain direction. I guess what I'm getting at is when it comes to even relationships, your job, and just things that you can look forward to or look forward to keep you going, how do you stay consistent on that wavelength and not, don't get too high or don't get too low and kind of, balance things out and stay intact, keep your relationships intact, like take care of yourself, take care of your career, your job, and other things like that. How do you think staying consistent, how does that look for you?
I would answer kind of very simple, because not doing it doesn't feel good, and doing it does feel good. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
really, really feel good, like really any day of the week, it's like, man, it feels good that I'm, it feels good that I'm someone that I'm proud of. Right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still working towards someone I want to be. And I'm still, learning from these mistakes that I've made in my life and all these things, but I'm still like every day, you know, my like head hits the pillow, like I'm proud of the person that I was that day. You know what I mean? And obviously we have our days, but when I'm answering your question, like that's that's the significance of it, is that it feels good, like truly feels good. And I know there's so
Mm-hmm.
many things out there that, especially with this day and age of like um all the things that are so accessible to us, it's so easy to do things that are gonna make you feel bad. The food we eat, the content we consume, um, the people we surround ourselves with, whatever it may be, right? There's so many things that, man, can make you feel just kind of like, just feel shitty and like, that's like the easiest way to put it, but it's like kind of the most accurate description. But man, when you're on a journey, and like this isn't like some heroic, lifestyle is what I'm trying to get at. It's just like when you're taking steps to work towards someone you want to become. And that's all it is, man. And like whether you're just starting to do that or you've been doing it for 30 years, right? Like it's still a process. It's still like you're still trekking up the mountain. You might slip far, you might slip down, you might slip all the way to the fucking bottom. Hopefully not, but sometimes you might do that. But at least you just got to take one more step up the mountain, and there you go, and just keep going. And the best part is when you get to the top of the mountain, you realize that there's a whole nother mountain to climb, and like, and
Mhm.
that's the next, and like you never actually get to the peak. So I don't know if I answered your question, but just like, I think the question was, man, why do you think it's important to do the things you want to do in life, or, take care of yourself? And I mean, yeah. What about you though? I'll ask you the question. I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking.
Um, I feel like the same kind of sentiment, and I was gonna get into like that was like a perfect segue into not being content with your life and still chasing other things, having things constantly going on in your life, taking steps towards something. Like you said, you might be climbing this mountain, and then once you get to the peak, there might be another one like right behind it. So, um, I think I like what you said about when your head hits the pillow that I'm proud of like what I did or like who I am. And I think that's like the difference between like what I'm gonna say is I don't want to be content with my life or comfortable.
Mm,
And I think proud is a good descriptor word of something to keep in perspective and a good thing to keep in mind when you're living your life. And especially when you have a lot of responsibilities and you have those tough days. Um, when you get through those tough times, you're gonna be proud and you're gonna like the person that you're becoming and you're like the person that you currently are. And I think that doing things that make you feel good and at the same time, once you complete something that you maybe didn't think you could or like you just had doubts about, and then you do complete it, you just realize, I could just do anything I put my mind to, I could achieve it. So I think that's also where that consistency comes in. It's doing things that you like to do and that inspire you. And we're not saying that, I mean, if everyone did what they wanted to do, like there's things that we do that you might not like feel like or want to do. But I mean, in a perfect world, we would be doing everything that we want to do. So it's just not like that. Like sometimes you have to do things that you like, that you put yourself through that you're like, I didn't really want to do that, but I did it for, XYZ, ABC. So I think when it comes down to it, taking those steps and taking those thinking of it as small victories, small little wins, and the little habits that you're forming to not only make yourself better in this present moment, but in the future, the future you will be thanking you for what you're doing right now.
mm,
And I think that's something we've been preaching this whole podcast journey is being better than the person you were yesterday. And what ties into that is when we talked about the vision is like, what are you doing right now to make your future better? And then when your future is better, that also is going to affect the people that are in your life at that moment. So if you maybe have a family and you have, things like that, like all these things are going to connect. And then everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis is literally conditioning you for the future. So if you don't like something about your routine or how you're living your life, then you'd have to change it. And we talked about choices earlier in this episode. It comes down to a choice. And if you're not enjoying something about your life, then you're the one who has to change that. And I think a lot of people don't make those changes because they are content and they are comfortable. And I think we touched on it before is trying to get to that point in that perspective where you're comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's something I hear like all the time. It's just it seems like a lot of people like on podcasts always kind of reference that. They might not say it directly like that, but it's like go through that hard stuff, that hard shit, be uncomfortable for a little bit, and then you see what you're truly made of. If you're always having good things happen to you and you're always, just playing it safe and
Yes.
um staying comfortable and content, I guess is what I'm getting at. And you
Yes.
might not unlock your true potential, and you might not unlock the things that you could be, I mean, like destined. You could be destined for so much more, and you might never know because you just might not take a step and step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And like, that's like, let's make this practical to like real world stuff. So like a lot of people probably listening, like, and let's kind of like maybe kind of take a step back into our journey. Like that at like 18, 19 years old, you might literally have zero idea what you want to do. I think now I have like 1% idea of what I want to do, right? And I'm going to chase, so let's take a step back of like, so what is, maybe an 18 or 19 year old, what does being uncomfortable look like for them? And so right away, my mind goes to like, man, moving away from your hometown. And
Mm-hmm.
I really, really think, and not like an hour and a half. I mean, like really move away to your hometown. And like, because that is uncomfortable and scary, right? But that is so important to experience, just like we're talking about as an 18, 19, 20, shit, whatever it may be. But you have a great opportunity after high school, and you have, to go to kind of really any college you want to, for the most part. And so, man, like so basically if you're listening, you're having that itch, like, man, I really just kind of want to go, or like, go somewhere and just like see a new area of this country, and like, or this world, right? And even like moving 5 or 6 hours west or south, whatever it may be, right? And like obviously your parents are probably not going to want you to do that, right? They're going to want to try to keep you closer and safer, because those are your parents, right? Obviously they're going to want that. But man, they know deep down that they've raised you to go on your own one day. And man, if you're feeling like you're ready to go and like you're getting this itch to go, that's what we're getting at, right? That is your inspiration. That's your vision. Go chase that, because what you're going to do is you're going to build a little bit of a callus. So the next time in life where you get it, where you're in a situation, right? Okay, I moved away. I'm in this new state, this new area. I'm meeting these people. I'm like, man, thank God I did that uncomfortable situation. A couple years go by. And now you're faced with another very uncomfortable situation. The fact that you made that first one when you're 18, 19, whatever it may be years old, you now know like, oh shit, we've been in this situation before, right? And we know it's going to be okay down the road. And we know we are familiar with this feeling of uncomfortableness and scared. So we also know that it paid off down the road, right? Because now we're in this situation. We're so glad we moved, whatever it may be. And boom, now you take another step of uncomfortability. And now you just build another layer of that callus, and you kind of get what I'm getting at. When you do that throughout your life, you're like, holy shit, look at all these. It all started with taking that first step, is what me and Zach are trying to get at. And that's just a situation of like, maybe that's a little bit of not really an extreme, but that's a situation of like making a big move. For a lot of people, that can just be like, being insecure and going into a gym, right? I mean, dude, first time going to a gym is very uncomfortable, very just very nerve-wracking, right? But deep down, man, I gotta go to the gym. It's what I need to do, is what my body needs. So boom, now you build that callus, just a little bit of going to the gym. I know I need to start eating healthy, and like, it sucks. I don't want to go and buy groceries and cook and all these things, and then now you build it, but you do it, right? And a little bit of callus, and you guys get what we're trying to get at. It's like, man, you can really start building something that's that you're proud of, whether you can be fucking damn proud of the decision you made at 19 years old. People might look at that objectively and be like, what decisions have you made? You're 18, 19 years old. But it's like, no, that person made a decision to chase something they want to go. They go somewhere they want to go. You might not fucking have any idea what you want to study. You might have no idea what you want to do, but at least you made you took a chance of moving away from your hometown. And that's damn important. And your parents, I understand you can be scared to disappoint people, but if your parents truly love and care about you, which they do, they'll be proud of you for doing that. And so I promise you, it'll be okay. Zach's literally a living testimony of it. And maybe you can share your experience, Zach. But yeah, I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this conversation's hitting this one is hitting a little home, because that's like directly what was that was my thinking process, my pattern. Um, and I mean, I'll just go into it. I think what Tom was getting at, even if you move like an hour and a half away, because I think moving is for like 18, 19-year-old is like the biggest thing that could be uncomfortable,
Absolutely,
or
absolutely.
maybe starting, I don't know, even if you start a job, like I just think moving is just probably the
Yeah.
most uncomfortable.
Yep.
Whether it's for school or for a job, I think that's up at the top of the list. So it's not to say that moving, you know, a certain range away is more uncomfortable. It's both uncomfortable. So I moved away for college at 18, like an hour and a half away, but I didn't really go home that much. And I mean, this is all like hindsight. Like looking back at that, I think I was building that callus and trying to come into my own in a new environment and finding my place in the world and what I was interested in and all those things. And I mean, fast forward to now. I mean, Tom was with me. I had a lot of conversations with him about uh my grad school process and where I was going to go and what I was thinking. And I remember I was making like little voice memos in my phone, just kind of talking to myself, just like kind of talking out loud about, kind of pros and cons of like moving here to Virginia or like staying back in Pittsburgh and things like that. And I think that where I'm at right now, looking back a year ago, I would just be like, there's no way. Like, because I think honestly, like making that decision, and it's not always going to be like this. Like when you make a decision that's life changing or very like alters your
Impactful.
environment. Yeah, if it's very impactful, it's not always going to be. It's not going to be a positive all the
Mhm.
time. But um, if you don't take the step, then you won't know. And I think that's another thing that Tom was getting at. If you decide to move and it doesn't work out, then fuck it. You tried it. You just know like that didn't work out. Then when another opportunity comes and you try, maybe you'll try something different. And I think I can firmly say if I didn't move here at the time when I did, I think 22, 23, when I was 22, I think was when I was debating. I don't know where my life would be compared to how it is right now. And I attribute that to making that decision. And I said it multiple times, maybe earlier episodes, but I think I wanted to take a risk and I wanted to be uncomfortable because I figured I was young and I had time to like screw up or maybe just have something not go in my favor. But it ended up going in my favor, and I'm really glad I did make the decision. And I guess I'm sharing a success story. I'm not trying to shit on anyone, but it worked out for me making that tough decision. And I think that's what Tom and I are getting at a lot is just take the step, take a step, and just take
A
a
step,
chance
a step.
because, yeah, take a step because for one, you're only young once. And I think it's Gary V talks about it like 30s is like the new 20s. I don't know if that was him. Someone like said that, like,
Honestly, fuck age in general. Like fuck
yeah,
age. It's an yeah. I don't want people get caught
yeah,
up in like 20. Like yeah,
like you have your whole life to figure out what you want to do. And if you're inspired or you feel something in your gut right now, then you should do everything in your power to try to get to that point where you're living that out. And I think once you do make a big step and a big chance in your life, at first it's going to be very difficult and you're because in reference to moving 18, 19 or whatever, you're not going to know anyone, you're not going to know the environment, you're going to be insecure, you're going to have all like the what if thoughts, but just give yourself some time, have patience with yourself because good things take time and sooner or later you'll be like I don't even know what took me so long to move out here or like
exactly.
whatever. It's just the world has a funny way of I guess coming full circle and just like showing you what you're made of and just showing you just all the things that are out here that you could be chasing. And I think if you have the opportunity or the itch, then you should take advantage of it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's, you mentioned something like, well, if it doesn't work out, like, you can always just like go back. And that's absolutely true. And like that isn't even a bad thing. That's actually a great thing. Cut that. Because now like, yeah, so okay, you took a step and shit, you're like, well, this is not where I want to be. Like, let me just kind of, maybe not take a step back, but let me just like kind of go make another right turn, another right, be back where I am, maybe geographically, whatever it may be, career wise. But you now know, like you now have that experience of taking a damn step. Just like we're talking about, you have that experience, like doing something that you think you want to do. That's like by far the most important thing. Not even the actual, the content and the material of the actual thing you're doing. Right? Like that's important to yourself, but like the bigger picture is that you are confident enough yourself. You might not even be confident, but you at least just have that little bit of faith, a little bit of want and desire to go for something because your mind and your body is telling you to go after it. That's the most important thing. And it might not work out, but at least you can say that you tried. And yeah, and the earlier you do that in life, the better, man.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be confidence either. You don't have to be
You're
confident
not
in
going to be
yourself
confident.
necessarily.
If you were,
Yeah,
you're not going to be confident. You're going to be
it
scared.
doesn't even have to be that. It's just like making that decision. Like whatever comes at me, I'm gonna deal with it in the best way I can.
Yep.
It's just like that's what it comes down to is like betting on yourself and just trusting the process. Everyone hears
Exactly.
that, but it's true. Trust the process and trust in yourself. Give yourself patience. And Rome wasn't built today.
Yes, segue into this / kind of sum maybe this up as well, because this is kind of a very, very profound takeaway message as well. Is simply you aren't who you were yesterday. I know I mentioned this earlier, but we're going to look in the context of maybe mistakes, failures, just not being someone you were proud of in the past. And this is very, very important. I'm telling myself this because I've struggled with this. We've all struggled with this. Just kind of dwelling on the mistakes we made in the past. And man, like right when you realize that isn't you, and you are who you are right now. Listening to this podcast, us doing this podcast, that's who we are right now. And you have a decision to make. You can either look upon your past and continue to dwell and continue to just feel like you're a shitty person, or you can absolutely take that route, which is a very easy route to do. Or you could take a route of like realizing that that's not who I want to be and that's not who I am. Right. And I'm going to learn from that person. And so therefore I can better myself for the future me, because the future me will be proud of the person I am today, taking that step and learning. And like, listen, it's crazy, but like without mistakes, without failures, you like aren't going to be a person. Like you're going to be this like person who has no character, no personality, because you're not going to be able to relate to anyone. And so therefore don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Don't openly be a shitty person. But when you're looking back on your life, understand that like, man, I thank God that I messed that up, because I now know to just work my life a little differently, or to be more grateful for something else, or just to change who I am as a person. That's so insane. That's like the most insane human capability we have, is we can literally change our minds of how we look at something and how we learn. The plasticity of a human brain is the craziest thing on earth, and so therefore take advantage of that and learn from your past and look at your life. This is like a very easy way to put it. That's why I think I love Rocky movies, but like look at your life like a movie, or look at your life as someone who, the start of a movie for Rocky, for example, he like just like this poor boxer who like is like drinking all the time, smoking cigarettes anyway, and then he gets an opportunity of a lifetime, faces his world heavyweight champion. And don't look at the actual context of the movie, but Rocky makes a decision. I can't believe I'm making a Rocky reference, but he makes a decision in that moment. He's like, fuck, man, no way am I ready for this fight No way am I ready for this opportunity. I'm about to be on live national television. I have a decision to make. I can either, keep doing what the fuck I'm doing, feeling sorry for myself, living this just pathetic life while trying to be a fucking amateur at best boxer, or I could completely cut everything bad I was doing in my life, learn from all of those those poor habits that I formed, and transform my life. You can absolutely do that. You can literally transform your life. If you are 350 pounds and you've never even done a workout in your life, and you're 35 years old, you're going to have a fucking hell of a time starting, but you literally can transform your life, because guess what? Someone else has done it before. You are not alone. Someone else has been in your shoes. Someone else has gone through fucking hell and back. I promise you. Right. So if you're in those trenches, man, if you think you're at your breaking point in life, just remind yourself that you are not alone, and that you are not who you were the day before. You are not who you were 5 minutes ago, and you are who you are now. And you can either just keep being the same fucking shitty ass person you can be. And this is very aggressive, but this looks differently on all aspects of life. Or you can say, I'm fucking done living my life like this, and I want to fucking do something that I'm proud of. And I'm tired of waking up every day and just thinking I'm a shitty person because I haven't fucking done anything for myself for 30 years. I've just been living this life of quiet desperation, of just wanting to be someone that for some reason I'm just keep telling myself I can't be. And you can be that person you want to be. I promise you. And it starts with taking a damn step now. It starts now. It doesn't start tomorrow. It doesn't start the next week. It doesn't start when you quit your job. It doesn't start when maybe you get a paycheck. It starts now.
100%. Yeah. Take responsibility right now. And Tom isn't saying to, I don't think he's saying about the past to not completely say fuck the past, because the past is the past and it should stay there. Yes. But at the same time, you need to learn from your mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and learn from the times you went through before,
Absolutely.
because right now that isn't the same person. And once you realize that, and you're able to distinguish from the fact that, okay, maybe 5 months ago I fucked up this, but now right here, right now, what can I do differently? Or what can I maybe do the same? Because I had a success or things like that. But when you look at your past and the decisions you make, and you're feeling sorry for yourself or beating yourself up, like, I'm such an idiot, or why did I do that? Things like that. That's when it becomes toxic and it's negative. You don't want to feel sorry for yourself, and you don't want to just dwell on the past, because you can't change the past. And then when it comes to the future or the present, you make the decision now in the present to change your future. And you can use what you did in the past, and you can change what you're going to do right now. And it comes with taking a step and realizing that no one else is going to take that step. No one else is going to take that chance.
Life isn't going to
You
get
have to take,
easier.
yeah, life's not going to get easier. You're the one who has to take that responsibility for your own life, your own actions. You're going to reap the benefits, the consequences, all the things, because it's your life. And if you take anything from this whole podcast, is, for one, give yourself some patience, but also just remember that it comes down to choices. And sometimes you just need to take a step, just dive in. Sometimes it may not seem like it's going to work out, and that may be the case, but our brains and our minds have a funny way of psyching ourselves out. We like to think about all the bad things that could happen and all the what if scenarios, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for the things that we can withstand and the potential that we have. And once you realize that, and you do take that chance and take that step, you're worth so much more than you are right now. And you can change your future by just changing the present right now. Because if you compare yourself to who you were yesterday, then you'll constantly just keep getting better and better and making progress.
And last about comparison. Don't compare your now to someone else's now. Compare your now
Hmm.
to who you were yesterday. I butchered that whole thing, but
No, I think that
don't
was it.
don't don't worry about anyone. Don't worry about anyone else's journey. You were about who the fuck you were yesterday and how you could beat that person yesterday. And literally, like, really think about that. Really, really think about that. Say, what did I do yesterday that I know that I can change and that I can do differently today to make myself better for tomorrow? And if you think more consistently you stack that up, man, it's you're just gonna fucking feel good. And if you don't feel good, then you're gonna die. Not literally, maybe literally, hopefully not. But you're gonna die as a human because you're gonna stop growing, you're gonna stop getting better, you're gonna stop feeling good, you're gonna stop feeling like you have a purpose. And this is dark and this can be sad on the other end. And I know it's very, very scary to feel and think of the realization that there's people who are absolutely on the other side of this pendulum. And, but man, it's just take a step.
So life life is not about, it's not about the materialistic things. It's about how you feel inside. And when you go through life, if you compare yourself to other people, they may have this extravagant lifestyle. They have all these cars, they have this big house, supermodel wife or husband, and whatever it may be. You don't know how they may feel inside. It's all about how you feel inside. It's how you live with yourself and how you approach every single day and every single responsibility that you have. You have that choice how you want to show up for those other people and how you want to show up for yourself. And finding something that you're passionate about, finding something that gives you meaning and gives you drive, motivates you, and makes you want to be a better person because you want to, do all these things and you want to get these goals accomplished. That's what life's all about. It's the pursuit. You have something to pursue and chase after, and it's all about how you feel inside because that's going to affect yourself and it's going to affect the people that come across you in your life. I mean, don't know how long that was. We were just getting after it.
We're like 110
Appreciate
probably. Nah, probably a little more.
appreciate appreciate everyone who tunes in. I don't know who all watches. Don't know how many people. It's not even about that. I think for me, it's just getting on here, catching up, and having tough conversations, and not only tough but necessary conversations of just literally just thinking about our own lives and our paths that we took to get here and how we could use our past to change our future and what we can do now to make ourselves a better person. I think this whole this whole process and this podcast is a part of the journey of our journey, and I think it's a very beneficial one at that, and I think it's making its mark. And I enjoy recording and bringing you guys these episodes. So keep tuning in, and hopefully we are inspiring some people or changing some perspectives because that's the goal.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week with all three of us. Three amigos will be back. All right. Anything else?
All right. No, that's it.
Thanks,
Deuces.
guys.